Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back to Truthseekers. Recently, Elon Musk made the news again with a startling announcement that as early as 2022, he hopes to start implanting his brain chips in humans. What does this mean? What does this mean for the future of humanity? And is this a point in history which we will live to celebrate, or is it a point in history we will live to regret? The philosophical implications of the changes about to take place with the human race are truly startling. Let's get into it, friends. Let's get into it. So what does this mean? What would having a neural link implanted in your brain mean to the average human? Now, we have seen some startling things already. Not long ago, they released a demo of sorts showing a monkey playing Pong, they call it brain Pong, with his own mind. First, they trained the monkey to deal with a controller. Eventually, they taught the monkey to control a video game with nothing more than his own thoughts, his own brainwaves. I remember thinking that this is the beginning of something. And also remember thinking that I wasn't sure if this would be a good thing or a bad thing. I began to wonder about the philosophical and historical implications that this neural link may have. Now, I have been following something for quite some time, and that is something called transhumanism. For those unaware, transhumanism is actually a philosophical and intellectual movement which advocates for the enhancement of the human condition by developing and making widely available sophisticated technologies able to greatly enhance longevity, mood, and cognitive capabilities, and predicts the emergence of such technologies as being real and applicable to all humans in the very near future. Others call it a belief or theory that the human race can evolve beyond its current physical and mental limitations, especially by means of science and technology. Now, transhumanism is a wide movement, and it encompasses many different things. There are people who are working with gene therapy and CRISPR technology who consider themselves transhumanism. Because after all, if humans are not able to quickly evolve enough, what if we were able to genetically help future humans, even our children, for example, evolve past normal human limitations? What if we were able to tinker with the human genome to make someone's brain bigger, larger, and more powerful? What if we were able to tinker with the human genome and DNA in order to make humans stronger, more robust, able to withstand freezing temperatures or super hot temperatures, able to go weeks without water? The possibilities of genetically altering humans to be better humans are truly mind-blowing and awesome. There is also talk of designer babies in the future. Would you like a blonde-haired, blue-eyed little girl? With CRISPR technology, they can do that today. That's right. With currently available technology, they can go into a human embryo and alter its DNA to ensure that once the fetus is fully developed and is born, will have the parent's desired traits. Would you like a blonde-haired, blue-eyed child? They can do that for you, or soon will be able to. Now, of course, this opens a whole can of philosophical worms, doesn't it? Is it ethical to alter the human genetics of a still forming unborn fetus to traits that its parents would prefer? There are other people involved in transhumanism that are doing strange self-experiments like implants. And I have seen many examples of this. These people believe themselves to be sort of the first generation of coming cyborgs, of all things. And again, this gives me a great deal of cautionary thought about what the future just may hold. I'm not sure that this thing called transhumanism is a good thing. I think that the jury may still be out on what changes for the human race transhumanism could cause. One can look to things like the Luddites and the Amish, who choose to live outside of our modern society. Certainly, people like that would refuse to get a Neuralink, would refuse to genetically alter their children artificially. But what may happen when these technologies become not only widely available, but widely in use? What will happen may be a great new divide. Currently, we can see the divide between even, let's say, the people who choose to get a currently recommended health procedure and those who rail against it. We can see the divide of humanity just on that issue. But imagine the divide amongst humans once there were two distinct and separate species of humans coexisting on planet Earth. We could very well have augmented humans, or let's, for the sake of our discussion tonight, call them Homo sapien 2.0, coexisting along with those Neanderthals, those original and regular biological humans, Homo sapien 1.0, which is our current version of humanity, unaugmented, purely biological human. What may happen to the human race? Will some rush to get their new chip implants to enhance their cognitive abilities? And will it end at simply enhancing the human's cognitive abilities? Will we then decide that the human part of this joining is the weakest link and must be eliminated? Transhumanism and Elon Musk's plans, even for this thing called the Neuralink, is extremely problematic from a philosophical standpoint on many, many levels. Let's get back to this great divide that may come. What if the technology to do this artificial mind enhancement and a merging of minds between computers and humans was not available to all people, but only to that 1% billionaire class? Doesn't the 1%, the billionaire class, already have enough power over the rest of the human race now? Imagine them with augmented mental capabilities. Now, we are going to cite fair use. I'm going to put my fair use banner up, and we're going to show an example of these early Neuralink tests, which show I just think it's creepy, and I'm a technology guy. So some of my friends, I should mention, that are technology enthusiasts like me are absolutely on board uh, transhumanists. They can't wait to enhance themselves. As soon as the technology is safe, affordable, and available, many friends I have told me that they're going to get their Neuralink. They're going to get the chip. I talked in great detail to a friend who unfortunately isn't available at the time of this broadcast to expound on his thoughts on it, because he is very, very pro transhumanism and very, very excited, enthused, and in short, he can't wait to get the chip implanted in his brain. And I have some problems with this. Like I said, there is so much here to unpack, but we're going to cite fair use. This is a transformative work. We are educating the public about Elon Musk and his Neuralink and the possible implications for the future of humanity based on this great coming change to our species. Okay, so I'm going to share this. This is a transformative work. And here we're going to watch Elon Musk's Neuralink monkey play video games. It's just that simple, friends.
This is Pager. He's a 9-year-old macaque who had a Neuralink placed in each side of his brain about 6 weeks ago. If you look carefully, you can see that the fur on his head hasn't quite fully grown back yet. He's learned to interact with a computer for a tasty banana smoothie delivered through a straw. We can interact with the Neuralinks simply by pairing them to an iPhone, just as you might pair your phone to a Bluetooth speaker.
And this is the first problem that I see.
The links record from more than 2,000 electrodes implanted in the regions of Pager's motor cortex that coordinate hand and arm movements.
Yeah, so the first problem that I see with everybody being implanted in a chip is having a chip implanted in their brain. You see, he mentions this pairing to a phone. That means that, of course, it's a network-capable computer that will be implanted inside your brain. I come from a background of IT and computer science, having worked in that industry for many years, and even worked for a time as an IT security specialist. And one thing I can tell you is that there is no such thing as a computer or a computer network that cannot be hacked. So part of my concern for this is, how do we ensure that these devices will not be used for some nefarious means, like controlling someone's thoughts, emotions, or mind in general? We can see how quickly humans have sort of accepted this subliminal but pervasive and overwhelming form of mind control that we all experience online. The content that we see is curated by artificial intelligence algorithms who watch everything we do on the internet and then suggest content for us. Well, if these companies are willing to go to any lengths they can to manipulate us, our buying choices, our consumerism, our choice of political leaders, won't it be easier for them to do that once we have a chip implanted directly in our brain that they can use to manipulate us? Just a thought.
Neurons in this region modulate their activity with intended hand movement. For example, some might become more active when he moves his hand up, and others when he moves it to the right. By recording from many neurons and feeding their activity into a decoder algorithm, we are able to predict Pager's intended hand movements in real time. First, we calibrate the decoder by recording neural activity as Pager uses the joystick to move a cursor to targets presented on the screen. As he's playing this game, we are wirelessly streaming, in real time, the firing rates from thousands of neurons to a computer. Using these data, we calibrate the decoder by mathematically modeling the relationship between patterns of neural activity and the different joystick movements they produce.
And here we have problem number 2 that I have with this. We can see here that even in an early, very crude stage of experimentation, they are able to map basically, essentially, what the monkey's thinking about as he's thinking about it. And again, what's to stop anyone from literally reading your mind, your thoughts, copying data, let's say, of your personal dreams, of your fears? We all have moments throughout the day where we think about these things, right? Things we worry about. What's to stop a multi-billion-dollar mega corporation from reading those thoughts, dreams, fears, desires that we have, and then using that data to manipulate us? Are you worried that your car is getting old and may break down soon? Well, we're going to start showing you car ads, maybe Tesla ads for all we know. Shouldn't you get a brand new car and just forget about that worry about your broken down old car? Like I said, I believe that technology and progress is good, but to race so quickly into this system is extremely problematic.
After only a few minutes of calibration, we can use the output from the decoder to move the cursor instead of the joystick. Pager still moves the joystick out of habit, but as you can see, it's unplugged. He's controlling the cursor entirely with decoded neural activity.
So someone with this Neuralink is essentially able to control electronic devices with just their thoughts. Now, being a lazy man myself, that's somewhat appealing to me. After all, if this works out and I had a Neuralink in my brain, I'd be able to lay on my couch, control the lighting in the room, turn on or off music I wanted to hear, turn on or off the television without a remote control. We all know men are always losing those things, right? So sure, there are some positive benefits that this may have, and reasons why people may consider this a great thing. After all, once connected in that way with the Internet of Things and this sort of thing, you would be able to do anything you could do from your phone right now, you'll be able to do without a phone just by thinking about it. You want to call an Uber? You just think about it. Do you want to order food to your door? You just think about it. Place some orders for some equipment you need for your podcast on Amazon. Just think about it. Add to cart, click buy now, all by thought. Certainly, this level of connectivity would appeal to some people, but we'll unpack more of that in a bit.
Our goal is to enable a person with paralysis to use a computer or phone with their brain activity alone. Because they wouldn't be able to move a joystick, they would calibrate the decoder by imagining hand movements to targets. One of the things the Neuralinks allow Pager to do is to play his favorite video game, Pong. To control his paddle on the right side of the screen, Pager simply thinks about moving his hand up or down. We've removed the joystick altogether. Now that he's up to speed, let's increase the difficulty and see how well Pager can play with the Neuralink. As you can see, Pager is amazingly good at mind Pong.
Yeah, now this is a little bit Frankensteinian to me. It's a little bit Frankenstein. There's a monkey somewhere in our world that can play Pong with his brain, with no joystick. I myself, when I first saw this demo, I really wanted more information. And I reached out to media representatives of their company, but nobody got back to me. I wanted to know, how long did it take the monkey to figure out how to do this? Was it very quickly? Did they have to train him? Did they have to leave him in that room in front of this screen with the video game playing for a month? I mean, we don't know. But at this stage that they're showing the demo, it appears quite effortless. This monkey is playing a video game using his mind to control the game with nothing more than his mind and that Neuralink chip effortlessly.
He's focused, and he's playing entirely of his own volition. It's not magic. The reason Neuralink works is because it's recording and decoding electrical signals from the brain. Great game, Pager. And what better reward for a monkey than a banana?
Yeah, and I'm not sure how I feel about animal testing in general. In general, I'm against most of it. I understand in some cases that, you kind of have to test with animals before you go to humans, but it always seems inhumane to me and cruel to the animal. I mean, a monkey can't consent to having his skull cracked open and a microchip device implanted inside his brain. Yeah. And this is, it's just, I've been thinking a lot about this lately. I haven't shared much of it. And I don't have detailed notes. I have bullet points here. So recently, Mr. Musk has announced that there will be Neuralink chips implanted into humans by 2022. We're going to share an article here. And again, this is fair use. This is a transformative work. We're educating the public about Elon Musk, transhumanism, and Neuralink. This is certainly covered under fair use. We're using a shared article. We'll be discussing the shared article, and we're using it to educate the public about these topics. This is fair use. Elon Musk says Neuralink hopes to start implanting its brain chips in humans in 2022, later than he anticipated. Can you believe he wanted to do it in 2020? I believe I read. So Elon Musk, the founder of Neuralink and the CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, Elon Musk said Neuralink hopes to start implanting its brain chips in humans in 2022. He said the first humans to receive the chips would be people with severe spinal cord injuries. Let's remember that. He said the first humans to receive the chips would be people with severe spinal cord injuries. In other words, quadriplegics and people unable to walk, or suffering from some other forms of paralysis. Musk has previously given earlier timeframes for Neuralink to implant its chips in humans. Elon Musk has said that Neuralink, his brain interface technology company, hopes to start implanting its microchips in humans next year. Neuralink, co-founded by Musk in 2016, is developing a chip that would be implanted in people's brains to simultaneously record and stimulate brain activity. It's intended to have medical applications such as treating serious spinal cord injuries and neurological disorders. During a live stream interview, the Wall Street Journal CEO Council Summit on Monday, Musk was asked what Neuralink planned to do in 2022. Musk said Neuralink's working well on monkeys, and we're actually doing just a lot of testing and just confirming that it's very safe and reliable, and the Neuralink device can be removed safely. He added, we hope to have this in the first humans, which will be people with that have had severe spinal cord injuries like tetraplegics, quadriplegics next year, pending FDA approval. Musk said that Neuralink standards for implanting its devices are substantially higher than FDA requires. Musk reiterated the 2022 timeline in a tweet. Progress will accelerate when we have devices in humans. Hard to have nuanced conversations with monkeys next year, he said. Musk has previously offered earlier timeframes for Neuralink to implant its chips in humans for the first time. He said in February that Neuralink could start implanting the tech in people by the end of 2021. In 2019, Musk said Neuralink hoped to begin human testing by the end of 2020. Musk has a history of over-promising and under-delivering on his project timelines. In April, Neuralink released a video of a monkey playing a video game using a Neuralink device, and we've seen that. After raising $205 million in July, Neuralink said it would channel the funds towards developing its chip so that it would allow quadriplegics to control digital devices with their minds. Quadriplegia or tetraplegia is the full or partial paralysis of the arms and legs. Neuralink isn't the only company, this is important, Neuralink isn't the only company developing brain interface technology. In July, a 20-person biotech firm called Synchron obtained approval from the Food and Drug Administration to start human testing. So human testing on these Neuralink devices, friends, has begun or is set to begin very, very shortly, I should say. And like I said, this opens a whole can of worms from many different perspectives. The medical advancement is the Trojan horse. And what do I mean by that? Well, I believe that the medical advancements and the help to, remember I mentioned this, it's extremely problematic to me that Elon Musk and others are saying that the medical advancement part is their first goal. And that would be basically helping paralyzed people. But there's other things that these devices could do in time with a few extra parts, such as making the blind see, making the deaf hear, and perhaps artificially enhancing people with cognitive or mental disabilities so that they would be able to function more or less normally. The device could make up for people with mental disabilities. This, I believe, is the Trojan horse, which will get these chips into the first humans. It's kind of hard to argue with the argument of if these devices and related devices can make blind people see, make deaf people hear again, or, as I stated, artificially enhancing people's cognitive abilities that have mental disabilities, it's hard to argue with that being a positive benefit for those people, especially those people who get the device. Imagine being blind your entire life and suddenly you get this chip implant and maybe some additional device that would enable you to see, or being deaf your entire life. And this device will be able to essentially make you hear again. This would be life-altering for those people who have these disabilities and who would begrudge a blind man something that would enable him to see again. I say no one. So it is perhaps, and I tend to be a little bit more than a paranoid sort of person, but I believe that it is no coincidence that they chose to push this first for people with medical problems and how this could be life-changing for them. But what will happen once those blind people start seeing again? Once those people that are paralyzed may begin to be able to walk again, or let's just even say they could mentally control a wheelchair with robot arms on it to get them things they need or help them throughout their day. No one would argue with someone choosing to do that. But after these devices begin to make their way into the brains of humans with disabilities, there is a next step here, a goal. And the real goal, ask any transhumanist just about, the real goal is to have a human mind artificially joining with an artificial superintelligence, an artificial intelligence. This would give us the world's first enhanced humans. And as I stated, it will create a coming divide between the haves and the have-nots. We can see a precursor to that divide now. People with plenty of money and power certainly have a technological advantage over people that are very poor and can't afford, say, high-speed internet or the latest, greatest laptop or iPhone. Certainly, people with money get those things first and have easier access to that technology and therefore that capability. I believe that the coming transhumanism movement will be no different. And there will be a great divide, first of all, between the haves and the have-nots. Those with money, power, and influence will certainly be able to get that technology quicker than people without money, power, and influence. And we have seen the way that some of these rich, powerful ruling class people, we have seen what they think of us peasants. Will they suddenly embrace this new technology and become superhumanly intelligent, superhumanly creative, superhumanly mentally powerful, and then simply let the peasants have that same power? No, I don't think so. So the coming divide will be between the haves and the have-nots, but it's more than that. Just as some people have railed against the current health situation where people are being forced to undergo a health procedure they may or may not consent to or want to have, in the future, when these devices, hear my words and hear them well, in the future, when these devices become widely available to most of the population, or those of the population that have the funds and the resources and the wealth to pay for them, these are going to be more expensive than an iPhone, friends. Yeah, so there will be people who will rail against this, and not for economic reasons, but for other reasons. We can talk in great detail about the security of your human mind. And how will the security of your human mind be affected once you are connected 24/7? Would there be a possibility that having this implant and being connected to everything cause a form of mental illness in some? I have talked on a previous show about the dangers of being so connected, and how I, as a form of therapy for myself, sometimes go to a cabin in the woods and turn the router off there, even though we have internet. I turn my phone off, and I do things out there in nature, totally disconnected from the outside influence of this thing called the internet, getting these constant pings and pangs and blips and blops on my phone. But just imagine if you were connected through your brain. Could you even turn the chip off if you chose to? Would you want to? And become less than connected again? Having this chip eventually will mean that you will be able to get the answer to any question you have instantly. Instantly. Having this chip may mean that you will suddenly be in possession of a brain that is now superhumanly intelligent, superhumanly creative, let's say. What if you aren't a very creative person? You've never been able to paint or draw or sculpt anything or build anything, but suddenly this chip implanted in your brain would enable you to paint like Michelangelo or sculpt like Michelangelo or build like the greatest architects of Earth has ever known. The enhancements that this sort of system could provide are mind-boggling and almost endless. And again, there are more capabilities that this is going to enable. For example, in the realm of communication, imagine being able to communicate with anyone on Earth instantly. It would become a new form of technological telepathy. You would be able to instantly communicate with any human on Earth that you chose to. And this opens another philosophical problem. What about those that are not connected? What about those that don't have the chip? Well, I suppose you won't be able to communicate with them. And I mentioned the coming divide. We have communities, the Mennonites, we have the Amish, we have the Luddites and others who choose a life without technology. Certainly people of that tradition and faith aren't going to embrace this. But I believe that others will realize the problems and the dangers that this change in humanity will create and will rebel against it. Will we see a government that decides, no, getting the chip is in your best interest. It's really in your best interest. So we're going to mandate that you must be chipped. What about employers? Would employers want to hire an unaugmented human who they weren't able to communicate with instantly, who didn't have the mental superhuman abilities that this chip may offer those who are chipped? So you may not be able to get a job unless you decide to get the chip. This is troubling on many fronts. There will be also a great difference between the haves and the have-nots. There won't be just one chip. There's going to be many, many. And let's say, for example, you get the Neuralink 2.0, right? It's like getting the iPhone 12 or whatever. After a short time, that chip may become obsolete. And there's going to be new, more powerful chips with new, more powerful, super advanced artificial intelligence engines built into them. And people are going to want the upgrade, I suppose. You got to keep up with the Joneses after all. And if they've got new cognitive superpowers that you didn't have with your previous chip because it's becoming obsolete, you're going to want to buy the new one. And you're going to have new surgery to get that new implant, the old implant out and the new implant in. Again, the haves and the have-nots. Those that are rich, powerful, and have great wealth will have access to greater Neuralinks, greater artificial intelligence engines to be joined with. So there will soon be not just, the chipped and the not chipped. There will soon be the not chipped. Those will be like the cavemen, oh man, those biological humans with no enhancement. Imagine living like that with no enhancements. Yeah. And on the other side, there will be those that are chipped, but there will become, in time, there will be levels, classes of the chipped. Those who have the latest and greatest and most super powerful chips and artificial intelligence engines with them will certainly have more capability than those with the lesser chips, the older chips and artificial intelligence engines. And we've stated that transhumanism is certainly not just about Neuralink. It's also about other implants. Why should we stop simply at a chip that joins you with the internet and an artificial intelligence to augment your mental capabilities? Why should we stop with that? Why don't we come up with eye implants that would let us see, for 5 miles, or let us, if we have flawed vision, come up with eye implants that are better than human eyes so that we could see with 20/20 vision again. As we age and our eyes and our ears become less than they were when we were young, we could get implants connected to the chip to allow us to hear at a superhuman level, to allow us to see at a superhuman level. But why stop there? What if you wanted to be able to smell your wife from 18 miles away? Maybe we could get nasal implants that would give you superhuman give you a superhuman ability with sense, right? But why stop there? Not happy with your level of physical strength and development? Why can you not get some implants that would connect to the chip that would augment your natural muscle to be 10 times what it is now? Why stop there? Why don't we develop nanobots, which could go around the body and build human muscle, give you a six-pack, big biceps, broader shoulders, a tinier waist? The possibilities, once this augmentation begins, it's not going to stop. And it will exponentially increase with each generation. I said this earlier, but I mean this. Hear my words and hear them well. This is coming. And the first Homo sapien 2.0, mark my words, has already been born. They have just not been augmented or created yet. But soon, if this transhumanism agenda or philosophy continues, and I believe that it will, ask anybody that works in Silicon Valley, what are all those CEOs obsessed with? Transhumanism and human life extension. All of them. All of them. Many of them are also interested in sort of enhancing their cognitive abilities as well through either drugs or technology. In short, they want to be gods. And whether that is a healthy goal or not, the goal remains for many of these tech giant guys. They want to extend human life. They want to enhance their human cognitive ability, their mental prowess, their intelligence through any means necessary. Back to the coming divide. So those who choose to become augmented and connected will certainly get some benefits. Their human ingenuity, their creativity, their mental capability will be increased massively with the help of an artificial intelligence joining with their human mind. And this is problematic as well, because what happens if the if the artificial intelligence decides that the weak link of the pair is you, organic being, and that perhaps the AI would be much better off on its own, not having to help this caveman meat creature. So the coming divide, though, there will be the haves and the have-nots. What will happen if many people, pardon me, let's do a thought experiment for a moment and just wonder what will happen if half of the human race says, this is a dark path, we're not taking it. And the other half of the human race embraces it and says, yeah, we're going to have superhuman capability once we merge with these machines. Let's do it. And let's keep augmenting and keep augmenting. Will we have Homo sapien 2.0 at that point? But what if it keeps going? And then we have Homo sapien 3.0, 4.0, 5.0. How much can we augment the humans? What will happen between the haves and the have-nots? Will the original Homo sapien be thought of as expendable, slave labor, those stupid meat creatures that refuse to merge with the AI gods? I believe in technology, and I believe in the power of technology to solve problems and even enhance human capability. Anyone who knows me knows that my entire life, since I knew how to do it, I have been using computers to enhance my own abilities. I first used computers to make music, record things digitally, manipulate those digital sounds. I felt like this computer, when I was a child and first discovered these things, gave me superpowers. I could do things no one else could do. Later, I learned with computers I could make films, I could make videos, I could make cartoons, I could make 3D renders of characters that I imagined, or create video games, or solve problems, plan building a cabin on a computer. No, I think that computers certainly have their place. But what worries me is the merging of a computer with a human. Now, some may say that these changes are inevitable, and we'll deal with these problems when we reach them. However, I think we should start talking about these issues now. We should start worrying about these issues now. And there should be some board of ethics that determines what is and what is not acceptable to do to a human, with consent or not. Now, I understand that certainly you will be required to sign all kinds of forms saying you consent to them cracking your head open and putting a chip in your brain. However, it doesn't mean that it's the right thing to do or morally or ethically acceptable thing to do. We have seen time and time again that these techno bureaucracies, these huge corporations, are willing to do anything to manipulate us. You know, they monitor our text messages. They monitor our private messages, DMs. They monitor our emails, searching for keywords of what they could try to sell us next or how they could try to manipulate us into making the choice that they prefer. What, my friends, can I say about what the future may hold if we give the power to put literal chips in our brains to these mega corporations? Elon Musk is certainly not going to be the last one, the last company to attempt this, to develop it, or to try to force it, I suppose, on people. Not that Elon Musk has tried to force it, but I'm just leery of any company or corporation that will decide to develop these technologies and market them. Will the software for them be open source so anyone can see what it is that they're doing? Are they listening into your thoughts? Are they recording your dreams while you're sleeping? Are they monitoring your fears, your hopes, your desires, your passing thoughts about what you'd like to have for lunch tomorrow. And then will they take that data and start marketing to you? Hey, yesterday you thought about having a pizza. Try Luigi's Pizza on Main Street today. I don't think that that my thoughts on this are too far off. In fact, I think they may just be right on. The powerful technological corporations never have enough power. They never have enough control. They never have enough of your data. And this is another moral and ethical problem. What sort of artificial intelligence will we be merging with? A benevolent one that will be obedient to our wishes and our desires? Or will that artificial intelligence have its own desires, its own motivations? And how much control of our thoughts will that artificial intelligence that we merge with have? As excited I am about the possibilities of technology in the coming future, I am equally as concerned for what the future may hold with these strange technologies. So what can we do? Well, I think that we can talk about it. The most important part is that we have to, as a species, talk about the implications these things have before we just go running straight into a surgery room to get the chip jammed in our brains. There should be some discussion about the software, how to make sure that the companies that are developing these technologies or implanting them in us are not taking advantage in some way. I mean, does anybody remember when we sort of found out the extent and scope of just how much data Google and other companies were extracting, Facebook, Twitter, just how much of our data they were taking from us? Or the cell phone companies, just how much of our data? They know. There is literally a joke about Facebook knows when you're taking a dump based on many different factors or your activity. They know when you're taking a dump. And if Facebook can do that with an app on your phone, imagine what a company will be able to know about you when a chip implanted in your brain can literally read your thoughts and beam those thoughts back to mother, right? It's very problematic. And the fact that no one really seems to worry about these things is concerning to me. Certainly, I, having spent time in the tech industry for decades, am aware of emerging technologies, but I don't see anybody raising any alarm bells here. I don't see anybody saying, this might be problematic, and here's why. And I also really do worry about the implications of merging with an artificial intelligence. We don't know what that's going to do to us as a species. We're not sure if the artificial intelligence that we merge with is going to be benevolent or suddenly decide that it has its own motivations. It has its own desires that are not in line with ours. And maybe they should take over, right? It's well within the possibility. This chip is implanted in our brain along with an artificial intelligence engine that's supposed to be our helper. What if that artificial intelligence just suddenly decides, I'm taking over this human body. I'll make the decisions. This guy is a stupid meat puppet and he doesn't know what he's doing anymore. How long will that artificial intelligence be a servitor before it decides it's thousands of times smarter than us? Why should it take orders from us? So certainly there's going to need to be a great deal of safeguards to prevent massive problems with this. And it's interesting to me, especially that some of these techno guys, even people I know, are just all chips in on this. That's a pun, but yeah. All chips in. Let's just do it and see what happens. What can we develop? And like I said, I have a close friend, and he is literally calling up Neuralink going, when can I get it? And I just don't, I understand early adoption of cool technology, but I just don't understand somebody that willing to allow a chip to be implanted in them when these technologies are unproven, untested largely. We don't know what the long-term physical or even psychological effects to us may be. You know, again, imagine just constantly being on the internet 24/7 and never being able to shut it off. There's got to be a whole host of problems for some people that could develop that just can't handle that amount of data constantly streaming at them, that amount of noise. I've called it noise before. It's just this constant stream of noise coming at me. I choose to turn it off. But what if you can't? What if you can't turn it off and you are forced to constantly consume it? It's well within the possibility that that could drive some people mad. Or here's another philosophical problem. What if you're so connected to the internet and you can instantly communicate with everybody? You're superhumanly intelligent and superhuman ingenuity. You have superhuman creativity. You're mentally a god among men because of this enhancement, and you slip in the tub and hit your head and the chip breaks. Suddenly you're disconnected from the collective, like the Borg, you know? And suddenly all that superhuman enhancement is gone. And you are left with your own thoughts without your enhanced abilities. Could that cause psychological problems? What if they can't fix it for 2 weeks and you have to exist as a lowly Homo sapien 1.0 for 2 weeks? Wouldn't that cause mental problems for some people? I mean, have you ever had a power failure and had no internet for 7 days? You start going a little nutty. But imagine if the entire half of your capability as a person was all dependent on this chip in your head and its connection to this thing called the internet. This is extremely interesting to me. And I can imagine that if that chip malfunctioned, someone could go stark raving mad just from being disconnected. What if you spent your entire life being connected to that thing and suddenly it stopped working? This could be problematic. Also, what about brain malware? What about viruses? We've seen that no computer network is safe from computer viruses, from malware, from spyware. These devices, once prevalent in every human being or most human beings on Earth, will create a whole new subset of hackers, mind hackers. Hey, that's my term. But it will create people who attempt to hack the chips in people's minds. What will they be able to do? Will they be able to influence your thoughts, read your thoughts, just like the mother companies might be doing? Will they be able to, I don't know, manipulate you into making a bad decision? What if you're selling your house and somebody is able to mind hack you and your chip into just selling your house for $5 because you don't want to live there anymore? How much influence will the artificial intelligence have over your mind? How much would people be able to manipulate you if they're able to hack into the chip in your mind? Will the companies that you're going to trust to implant this chip in your mind be ethical and responsible and moral and not try to control your mind or your choices, your buying choices, or your voting choices? Will they be able to resist the temptation to do that if the capability to do that is possible? I don't think so. We see it now. Look at the lengths that these techno companies are willing to go to collect your data so that they can more easily manipulate you into doing what they want, what their advertisers want. So we are witnessing the beginning of Homo sapien 2.0. We are going to live to see the first enhanced humans on Earth, the first artificially enhanced humans on Earth. I'm not sure what that means for the future. Part of me thinks that I'll be living in a cabin in the woods by myself with no chip and no internet. But the other part of me thinks if the ethical problems and security problems are worked out, I may embrace that technology, but I sure won't be one of the early adopters. Not by far. So here's what we're going to do. I'm doing this monologue here tonight, so I did not pay attention to the super chats. We're going to come back, and we're going to do a short musical break tonight. And when I come back, I'm going to read all the super chats. So please do get those super chats in. But before we do that, please do head over to Patreon. Put my name right here in the Patreon search bar and join our Patreon for as little as $1 a month. You get the extra content, you get the backstage pass for Truth Seekers, you get the monthly show journal, and we're doing Patreon only streams now. So head on over there and join our Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Otherwise, the best way to support me is either through a PayPal donation, and there's links in the description below, or that money button down there. It's called a super chat. You can put in any amount you want, put in any message you want, and we read each and every single super chat. And we're going to be doing that when we come back from our short musical break. I'm hopeful that maybe, just maybe, this will be a step in the right direction for the human race. But I'm also worried that it may be a step in the wrong direction. Time will tell, and history will prove me right or wrong. But I believe that someday history will prove me right, and people may look back on my warnings and remember, I told you so. We'll be right back.
It's time we cut these cords asunder. I think it's time we let the story end. I can't feel I'm disconnected.
And we are back, friends. So we'll be taking some comments and questions from the live chat. I saw some great comments here. Pragmagic is here and says, sorry, that sounded like an order I meant. You should get new musical guests. Yeah, well, somebody sent me copyrighted music and got me in trouble with YouTube. So, yeah, I have a bunch, but I haven't put them on the StreamYard yet. So I got to do that. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, and boy, this is a great comment. I saw some great comments while I was doing this monologue. Just like all human history shows, all new tech is instantly weaponized under the guise of defense. Same with self-replicating graphene nanobots. Stay away from injections with graphene in them. Yeah, you never know, right? Pragmagic also says, imagine your Neuralink search history with every fleeting terrible thought one has in a day. Yeah, that's another thing. Could they copy your search history and see what you're trying to learn or what you're trying to look up, and therefore know what it is you're working on in your life, right? Oh, Blue 570 says, look what they did to prevent Trump from being president for a second term. That's a hot button issue here. But I can't say I disagree. They certainly, that Hunter Biden story should never have been squashed. They literally censored the New York Post. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. And then, of course, after the election, we find out, oh, yeah, that was his laptop. Oh, yeah. Sorry, we censored all of that. So all you dummies voting couldn't make the proper decision with all the information about both candidates, all the dirt out there. We squashed the dirt. We swept it all under the rug for our preferred candidate. I don't even know why he was their preferred candidate. Well, yeah, I guess I do, because Trump was apparently planning to do something about big tech, and we can't have that, right? Cave Revival says, Steven is backstage checking that his mask hasn't come loose from his reptilian skin. One moment, please. Yeah. Moody Mongol says, we could splice the DNA of Jimi Hendrix with a millipede, creating a guitar player with approximately 100 fingers. Just thinking of the possibilities. Well, sure, of course, there's going to be good possibilities of in with all this bad, scary stuff. Yeah, that would be a good one, right? Okay, so I don't know that I missed a super chat. Let's check in with the super chats. If you have any super chats, please send them now. We're going to be wrapping things up shortly tonight. Long day today, canceled guest tonight. This is why I'm here solo. And tomorrow at 2 p.m., we're going to be interviewing Ian Crossland from Timcast IRL. Imagine that, right? Okay. So we got one super chat, $4.99 from Lee Guy, who says, in and out tonight, praise the bacon, praise the cash. Well, thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support, Lee Guy. Much, much appreciated. We thank everybody for their kindness, their generosity, and their support. This is a viewer-supported show. So if you like the content that you see here, throw a couple of bucks in the hat and help us continue to create it. Victorious Eagle Andrew says, am I late? Just a little bit. We started an hour and 11 minutes ago, but you're still very welcome here. Good to see you here. Okay. Stupid username here says, embed your consciousness into a permanent structure and eternal hell is literally possible. Cernovich. Yeah, quite possibly, right? Woody Mongol says, not enough pockets in your jacket, always searching for your smartphone. Not to worry, we can splice your DNA with a kangaroo. I mean, that's a crazy thought, but I mean, they're making pigs with human DNA in them right now that they're hoping will, putting a human DNA in the pigs, they're like human, literally chimeras, human pig hybrids of sorts. But the purpose is to create organs for organ transplant that will be more readily accepted than a regular pig organ would be. That's crazy. Alex Jones was right. They have chimeras right now. It's not science fiction, friends. It's science fact. Rorschach Man says frog DNA and microchip nanobots. That's what I've been reading about. And Bob Perkins says, yep, they can reproduce now. Yeah, apparently robots are now able to reproduce. Mike Gambelli says phone would be in the chip. Yeah, everything that you could do in your phone, you'll be able to do with just this chip soon, and more. I mean, some of the things that I talked about tonight is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, having your brain connected to the internet, it's just the possibilities are endless, absolutely endless, right? Al Warrior with a kind and generous $5 super chat says, great topics. Thank you, Al Warrior. Continuing supporter of the show. Thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and continuing support of the show. Always happy to see Al Warrior here, especially when he's throwing a couple of bucks in my hat. Praise the cash, Al Warrior. Thank you for your kindness. Yeah, and you know what's scary to me is that it's not just the Neuralink. There's all this other stuff going on, like nanobots and self-replicating nanobots and graphene. Oh, there's so much stuff right now that is concerning to me. And that's me as a technologist. Like I love technology. I have since I was a child. You know, I used to build radios and stuff out of transistors and chips and things, and learned to solder so that I could make things out of, you know, I used to pick the trash, like if there was a broken TV, and then I'd desolder all the stuff inside, trying to figure out what it did. You know, I knew some of it, like, oh, this is a capacitor, this is a resistor, this is a chip. God knows what this chip does. Let's try to figure it out. But I was such an early, big, huge fan of technology, but to see where it's going now is concerning to me. And I will be the first to say I'm concerned about what the future may hold if this transhumanism philosophy and agenda continues to permeate our society and begins to alter our human species, right? So after Alex Jones was right about human-monkey chimeras, next on their list, interdimensional elves. If interdimensional elves turn out to be flying UAPs, I'm out of here. Yeah, you know, as crazy as Alex Jones is, he is actually right about some of the stuff that he talked about. And he was talking about some of the stuff going on right now 10 years ago. And you got to give him that. You got to give him that, right? And Pragmatic says, again, what's to keep someone telling Neuralink to continuously tickle their dopamine and serotonin receptors until they pass out? Sounds kind of great now that I'm thinking about it. Chip me, daddy. Yeah, that's another thing. I mean, could you use that chip to alter your cannabinoid receptors and feel like you're high on marijuana? Could you use it to alter, dopamine and serotonin receptors? Could you use it? Someone has suggested, this is another funny one, Pragmatic. Someone has suggested that with the Neuralink, I think I heard this on Joe Rogan. So if I'm wrong about that, I apologize, but I'm sure I heard it somewhere. Once you have the Neuralink chip, you'll be able to have an orgasm on demand anytime you want. Could you imagine that? Just walk around. All right, that was pretty good. Wait a few minutes, you know. Well, let's try it again. Oh, that was even better one. You know, like too much of a good thing is bad. Imagine if you could just think of having an orgasm for a split second and suddenly you were having one. That would be crazy. Yes, Moody Mongol, I'm well aware of this. We did a story on the Human Z, which is terrifying and fascinating story to me. Communism were the first to try human-animal hybrids back in the 50s and 60s. For them, it helps prove humans are no more than animals. The CCP are doing it now. Fun times. Yeah. We definitely are in an age of strange things. There is human-animal hybrids on Earth right now. Of course, it's not so sci-fi Frankenstein as it sounds, because in many cases, it's like they just inject some human stem cells or DNA into a pig or something, and then that makes the pig's organs more easily transferable to a human, or other things like that they're doing, right? Pragmatic says, sex is better than the orgasm. Change my mind. I think you must have some weak orgasms, Pragmagic. Jack Sarfati was on Alien Sciences today, discussing with a materials scientist how to actually build a warp drive. Well, that's interesting, but until somebody actually there's all this excitement, Ghost Rider, over warp drives now becoming, oh, they're a reality now. We've got it. No, until I see one working, I think it's a lot of hype, right? And all theoretical. We haven't seen an actual warp drive in operation, and I doubt that we will in our lifetime, Ghost Rider. But again, that's my take on it, though I'm excited by the possibilities. Honestly, I heard what they're working on lately is that they want to make you live another 100 years, bringing a lot of discussion about geopolitics. Yeah, we're already, I heard a statistic somewhere, I don't know if it's true, that says that the Earth is really only big enough and has enough resources for 500 million people. But look at our population, right? What is the population of the Earth? We're going to look it up. Earth's current population. See, this is something that you can do with a chip instantly if it was in your brain. Okay, so we have 7.753 billion people, which is, roughly 7.2 billion more than the Earth can actually support resource-wise. So, I don't know if people living 100 years would be the best idea, but some have suggested that as our population continues to increase, the only thing we'll be able to do is go colonize other planets. There simply won't be enough food, resources, shelter, energy, etc. for all of us here on planet Earth, right? Alien scientists did show because DARPA just announced claim to have created the first warp bubble. Yeah, they did, but I mean, what's a warp bubble anyway? That could be anything, right? It could be some collision in the CERN for a split second. It doesn't mean it's a workable technology or technology that we can harness in the very near future. I think that all of the excitement about the warp bubble thing is unfounded and kind of silly. It's the same thing that happens with UFO guys. Remember, they made those UFO, some of the announcements in the New York Times that then had to be retracted. People got all excited saying, oh, this is it. This is disclosure. They said, Eric Davis said that he briefed people on alien materials and bodies. Where is the proof of any of this? Is Eric Davis going to tell us where the bodies and the materials are? Of course not. It's just talking. Same about the warp bubble thing. Until I see an actual warp drive in operation, I got to look into more details. I shouldn't even be talking about it. Why waste time inserting computer chips with surgeries when programmed or command nanobots can slowly build a Neuralink to uplink you inside your brain as you walk around and are none the wiser? Yeah, that's another ultimate goal of transhumanism. Imagine if you could upload your brain or your consciousness into a computer. But that, to me, has always been kind of strange, because is that really you, or is that just a copy of you? I would think it's a copy of you, and it's not really you. But imagine if you could have... The other thing with Neuralink that may be interesting is, you know how you have all these pictures and videos and memories of things that you've been through in your life on your phone? What if the Neuralink stored all your memories, all your dreams, your birthday party, your Christmas, your kids' birthday parties, and it was all stored. And when you died, your wife or husband or significant other could take that chip and have all of your memories during their mourning of you. I think that would be helpful to people, certainly, right? Because I can imagine, like when my mother died, what it would have been like to go relive all of her memories of me. That would probably have been therapeutic to me, right? Same for my father or whoever else that I was close to that passed away. But you never know where these things are going to lead. I'm sure there will be good and bad. There's good and bad in all things, right? The Sixth Sense says, I don't know how many search results I've seen combining crypto with transhumanism. A lot of crypto sites are apparently promoting it. Yes, they are. There's, like I said, there seems to be anybody that's really into technology seems to be really willing to jump on this transhumanism train and get it started as soon as possible. Me, I'm I'm not only not convinced yet, I'm concerned about what this will be like. And one can imagine, like I said, soon there's going to be Homo sapien 1.0, which is us right now, and Homo sapien 2.0. Will there be pressure for people? Get the chip, get the chip. You got to get the chip. You know, will people be pressured? Will people, will there be mandates? Will we force people to get it? Like, hey, if you want a job in engineering, you can't do that job with a normal human brain. You're going to need the chip so that you could do math 100 times faster than the average human. So we want to hire somebody with a chip. If you won't get the chip, we can't hire you to do this job. This creates all kinds of philosophical, moral, and ethical quandaries and problems and quagmires that I'm not sure anybody, including Elon Musk, much as I admire and respect Elon Musk, I really do, but I think that he hasn't even thought about these things, right? Hasn't even thought about these things. And maybe he has. Maybe I'm not giving him enough credit. Maybe he has, and he's worked out a way that this is all going to be ethical and only good for humanity, right? Yes, Mike Jones, this is a very good question. Do the guys who support this just not accept themselves? Or are they unsatisfied with everything in their lives? Like they don't think they're enough, right? Kate Schneider is here. Welcome, Kate Schneider. It says, art imitates life, life imitates art, I suppose. Yeah. Spooky, I don't know what this is about. It says, I am haunted by the alien ghost baby that you should never have given me. Yeah, that's a problem. That's definitely a problem. So I'm going to check in with the super chats, or I'm going to check in with the PayPal donations. Let me check in with that, see where we're at. See where we're at with praising the cash. Okay, so no new Patreon or no new PayPal donations, but I do want to mention that if you send a PayPal donation, be sure to add a note and write your chat room user ID and whatever you want us to shout out. Pragmagic says, Elon Musk got a hair transplant. Does he not accept himself? Yeah, I know for sure that he was going bald at one point, and he's not now. So, but he's got lots of money. I don't begrudge a guy. I would think, Pragmagic, that may be something that I would consider in my future if I started going bald real bad, because I just would look terrible as a bald man. And the only other choice you have is to shave your head and have some dignity. I can't stand guys with rugs or with sweepovers, right? But I do know a guy who got plugs, Pragmagic, and it looked like doll hair. It was terrible. But that was many years ago. Now I hear and am told, and I know I do have another friend who got hair transplant and looks great on him. You can't tell at all on my friend that got it in more modern times. But I had a friend that got it 20 years ago. Whoo, it looked terrible. It looked terrible. It looked like Barbie hair. It's all Tiffany Chimichanga's fault. 2053 is a bad year. If you say so. Pragmagic says the comb over is coming back. I hope not. I hate that, right? Kate Schneider, yeah, I remember this from something. The episode where the husband dies and the wife gets a robot version of him with all his memories, mannerisms installed. Is that like the Outer Limits, or it was something like the Twilight Zone, but not the Twilight Zone, right, Kate Schneider? I think so. Yes, and the Sixth Sense reminding everybody that Truthseekers has a Patreon with bonus content. It's patreon.com/Stephen Cambion. Please go over there and become a member. We need the money. Rorschach Man says, "Need he got the chip in his head." I think he's talking about Elon Musk. Yeah. You know what I wonder about Elon Musk? Why doesn't he go up in these spaceships he's building? Or why doesn't he get that Neuralink implanted in his head? You know, he's waiting for other human. He always waits for other human guinea pigs before he's willing to do it. I know somebody asked somebody that worked for him when he was going up in the ship, and the guy just said, "Oh, he will eventually. He's going to do it." Busy guy, I guess. Anyway, Let's not worry about this. Everyone has a device for unlimited information and no one uses it. I'm constantly telling people just search the answer. Good point, Mike Jones. I can't tell you how many people ask me something stupid and I go, why don't you just Google it, you know? Oh, Black Mirror. That's what it is. Okay. I haven't seen any of Black Mirror. I've heard a lot about it, but I haven't seen it. Mike Jones also chiming in Black Mirror. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's why I have a big scar back there. Joe Rogan's failed because you need to take drugs forever so it doesn't fall out. Yeah. Spooky says Patreon only stream. The next one will be sometime this weekend, Spooky. The next Patreon only stream will be sometime this weekend. We've got an interview with Ian Crossland from Timcast IRL tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then Friday, we'll be doing another show as well. I'm still trying to nail down a guest for Friday night. And then probably Saturday night, we'll be doing a Patreon-only stream. So Kate Schneider says, you and your wifey need to watch. Really good. Yeah, she would probably enjoy that. I heard it's weird, and she likes weird stuff, so she would probably like it. Cicada Smasher says the problem is that benevolent personality types are drawn to positions of power as well as power itself having its own corrupting. It's why our founders called government a necessary evil. Well, I can't disagree with that. And I also heard a recent clip of Elon Musk saying how incompetent the government is and that we should all give the government as little money as we possibly can because they don't use the money well. And I agree with him on that. Moody Mongol says the only thing that might be successful in transhumanism, they might successfully tap into redundant human DNA from our past and reactivate it. Scary, but they might be successful there. Yeah, who knows that? Spooky reminding everybody that there's a big story. We're brewing a big story on Corey Good. That's coming up soon. You don't want to miss that one. We've also got a story on Billy Carson and his criminal activity coming up. You don't want to miss that one. If you like the shows with the dirt, boy, we got a couple of shows digging the dirt coming up. Big Guy says, Patreon only stream for my birthday. Let me know when your birthday is if we can't accommodate you, right? Okay. Mike Jones says, they're going for the environment, your body, and soon your soul with chips. Yeah, you never know. You never know, right? Mike Jones says, feel like it's pure totalitarianism at the end of the day, doing what they do best, constantly controlling everything. Yeah, there are some crazy control freaks in the world, right? And it seems like the control freaks are the ones with all the money, so they actually get to do it, you know? We're seeing unprecedented levels of, I think, totalitarianism and control in our current society. But along with that, I don't know how long this current situation can keep up. I am watching Australia, Germany, and some other countries with great interest because you know that the United States is watching that too, going, what are their people willing to accept? How much are they pushing their people? And how much are they controlling their people? How much are they telling their people what to do? How much are their people complying? And then our government is deciding how much and how far they're going to keep pushing us. But I think that we're reaching a breaking point here. I really do. I think, especially in the United States, we're not going to take much more of this. I just saw, let me see if I can share this. And this is dangerous to share, but I'm gonna do it anyway because I think that it's important to share things like this, despite despite perhaps the dangers in doing so in today's climate, right? Yeah, I'm going to see if I can't share this. I'm going to see if I can't share this because I'm a father and I saw this today and I got really pissed. And I think any parent would be pissed seeing what's going on. Look at this, friends. And just to be clear, this is kindergartens in a Portland school who are forced to eat lunch outdoors in 40-degree weather so that they can properly social distance. This is America, friends. It's raining. It looks like it's raining. Drizzling, maybe. I mean, it's not downpouring, but it looked, or did just rain. I don't know. Looks like it rained, and it's 40 degrees outside. And all these children, they look to be like nursery school or kindergarten, and maybe first grade age, are forced to eat lunch outside in the schoolyard. I got to tell you, anybody that doesn't see this as a problem is part of the problem. Which reminds me, many have asked me to comment on some of this current health crisis. Many have sent me emails asking questions or saying, why don't you talk about X, Y, or Z? And you all know that I would if I could, but I can't. So we're going to be starting something new, and it's going to be on BitChute, which is the Wild West of the internet right now. I mean, Cliff High's saying all kinds of crazy stuff on BitChute. Nobody's banning him. So we're going to be doing something new called Truthseekers Uncensored. And I hear all of you who want me to cover things and talk about certain things, but given the current climate, what I can and can't talk about, or what it's just not worth risking deletion or censorship to talk about. So we'll be covering things like that. We're going to cover on Truthseekers Uncensored. And I'm hoping that we'll get that going fairly soon. And that also means we'll be able to bring back dancing girls and all kinds of things that apparently, I don't know why, but one of our bumpers with the dancing girls, and by the way, they have clothes on, keeps getting flagged for bare nipples or something. So we can't even use our bumpers on certain platforms. We could do it on Discord, but we're going to do it. We're going to find a platform that is just going to let us do our thing and not censor us. And it might be Rumble, it might be BitChute. We're still working out the details, but we will definitely be starting. I think we're going to do at least 1 or 2 Truthseekers Uncensored a month. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to collect up all the stuff that I don't think is a good idea to talk about here or elsewhere, and we're going to talk about it there. I just no longer think it's a good idea to remain quiet about everything. At some point, you have to stand up and say something. But I can't do that for the detriment of the show, because certainly it would be detrimental if the show got suddenly deleted off of YouTube, or for something I said or a guest said. And, it's unfortunate, but we're going to do that. Ghost Rider wants alien strippers. I'm down with that. We'll see if we can. We'll see if we can accommodate you and get that right. Moody Mongol says, teaching kids this is the norm. That is scary to me. Orson Welles might have been onto something. Yeah. I agree with you. What? That girl Jessica, we demand slim, thick truth seekers. You want skinny girls and fat girls. All right, we're gonna put a mix. That girl Jessica, I've got new ones, and I actually, it's funny. Please make them slim, thick, okay, not skinny. All right, I'll get you some thick girls. That girl Jessica, just for you. I'm gonna call it the thick bumper, right? Get the thick girls. I like thick girls if they're thick in the right places, right? So I don't know what else to say, folks, and that might be a good indicator that it's time for me to, Spooky saying wild BitChute panel shows. Absolutely. Truthseekers Uncensored. You can say anything you want. I don't have to worry about what a panel member might say or do, or we're going to do that, right? So I'm not sure what else to say about tonight's topic. Maybe we'll revisit this again with a guest or expert on transhumanism. I would like to pick somebody's brain, somebody who knows a lot more about this than I do. I think that would be helpful and beneficial. And if I can, I will certainly do another show on this topic and take you with me. So I want to thank all of you super chatters. I want to thank all of you PayPal donators and Patreon supporters for helping to keep the show going. Your generosity, kindness, and support really does put a smile on my face. I want to thank all of the audience members for coming tonight. You always hear me say this. Always happy when there's an audience. Tonight, we had a great one. Thank you for being a part of mine. So until next time, friends, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless all of you. Even you, Elon Musk.